Peace and blessings, my dear beloved community. It's your girl Hadida here, come with you with another day of we're actually going to do our manifestation 55 days of manifestation right now, and then we're going to lead into our topic, which is birthing a new aspect of yourself through the new moon energy and manifestation. If you have not already gotten a chance to go back and watch the replays, please make sure that you do, because there are 55 days of us coming together and manifesting with the energy of optimal health and overflow and abundance. And so for 55 days straight, I am giving away free giveaways. Tonight, I have on two sister friends of mine that I'm super excited about introducing to all of the community. And so that will be happening a little bit later. But as of right now, we're going to do our deep breathing. We're going to do our journaling. And hey, Marsha, we're going to do our deep breathing. We're going to do our journaling, and then, move into the next energy. So first of all, if you are new here, the things that you will need is a glass of water. You will need you a green pen or marker, and you will need yourself a journal. I'm going to say aloud the affirmations that we're going to write as a community. And I'm going to do it really quickly because they're going to be coming on at like 9:15. So I want to make sure that I get through this before, everybody else comes. But yeah, so since I didn't come on earlier, I was like, I'm just going to combine everything at once. And then I was in some trainings and in some talks with clients, and it's just been like one thing after another all day. So I have not gotten a chance to do as much as I intended on, or coming as early as I intended on coming, which was a little bit of a bummer. But either way, let's jump in. So we're going to start out with 3 deep breaths in through our nose, out through our mouth. Okay. And maybe what we'll do is we'll just do the releasing affirmations in the beginning and really draw our energy into what we want to release. And then after the ladies get off, then we'll do the next portion of it. During this live, I will say a keyword, and I will pick a name from our Calabash bowl to see who won for yesterday's drawing, for us to go ahead and pick the winner. Okay, yesterday and today's, because I don't think I picked the name yesterday. Did I? Oh, I did. I picked it at the end. Okay, that's right. I picked at the end. It was Teresa who won. All right, so I'll I'll pick it right now. We'll pick it during this live for this evening's person. But we're just gonna start with 3 deep breaths in through our nose, out through our mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose. Hold it. Out through the mouth. Most High, Divine Creator, Universe, whatever you believe in, we thank you right now for this opportunity that we have to gather together as community. I thank you for this day of life, the air that is in our lungs, the sisterhood that we are creating here, and brotherhood for those who are joining. We thank you for all that you have already given us. We thank you for all that is to come. We thank you for the struggles that we have, because we know that through struggle comes advancement. Through the test comes our triumph. And so we thank you. We thank you for all of the lessons, both big and small. We thank you for the abundance that you are sending to us. We thank you for the optimal health that we are already in. We receive it, we know it, we believe it. Amen and Ashe. All right, so peace. Really quickly, we're going to do the 3 affirmations for release, and just let go of what we don't want to hold. And then I think at some point, maybe between the 2 women, if I have time, like if Hashmi's time doesn't go too far, then I'll do it then. But if not, then I'll do it after the 2 sisters. We'll do the manifestation aspects, okay? If I can't get it all done now. So get your journals if you're just joining and begin writing with me. Now, make sure that you are saying this aloud and you put your glass of water next to you so that everything that you are saying goes into your water. Like I have my water sitting right here. And so as I'm speaking, the water is catching and holding the vibration of what I am saying. Okay. So I release all limiting thought patterns from my consciousness. I release all anxiety about my health and finances from my mind, my body, and my spirit. There is no blockage in my thinking, in my beliefs, nor in my consciousness that prevents me from living in optimal health and abundant wealth. I mean, and Ashe. All right, so I release all limiting thought patterns from my consciousness. I release all anxiety about my health and my finances from my mind, my body, and my spirit. There is no blockage in my thinking, in my beliefs, nor in my consciousness that prevents me from living in optimal health and abundant wealth. I mean, and Ashe. So let's take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth and just sit in that energy of what we are releasing and what we don't want to help hold on to and carry anymore. Okay, and so let us begin. I mean, and so since we still have time, I'm just going to go ahead into the manifestation aspect because we still have about 10 or 15 minutes before Hashmi comes in. So we might as well just go ahead and jump into it now. Okay, and so now we're going to get into the energy of what we want to manifest, what we want to draw into us. And so now that we've released, what we've been carrying, what's heavy, what's no longer serving us, it's time for us to replenish. Every time we exhale, we must also inhale, right? And so manifestation is the same kind of energy. When you're getting ready to manifest something, you have to first acknowledge what you no longer want to hold on to, or what you feel like has been blocking you from living in your highest vibration in order to move into the next phase, which is actually the manifestation part. And I think that a lot of people sometimes miss that step. They miss the step of releasing before calling into them and affirming what they do want, right? They miss the aspect of being grateful before asking for more. It goes hand in hand. So that's why, if you notice, if you've been tuning into my lives, I've given thanks almost every single day to the Most High Universe, Divine Creator, for everything that we have, everything that is to come, because you have to stay in a space of gratitude in order to get more. Gratitude and saying what you're grateful for, it's like opening up your vessel to be larger, to be able to hold more. But if you're like, oh yeah, I'm still blessed, ain't nothing changed, every single day I'm blessed, like if that's your energy and you're never in a space of gratitude, How do you really think that the Most High is going to continue to give you more, or universe, whatever you believe in? So affirmations and manifestation and all of those things are just another form of prayer in my mind. Affirmations are like prayers, things that we are asking for and affirming within ourselves or our own reality. Don't forget that you are literally co-creating your life. When I say that, I mean everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you think comes back to you. So yes, while we sit up and we pray and we ask the Most High or universe, whatever it is, and we affirm or we do affirmation and manifestation work, while we do that, we also are playing a role in what comes to us. And that is based upon what we are doing, thinking, saying on a daily basis that is creating the reality that we live in. Because prayers without actions are dead. So let's jump into it. So the next few affirmations are going to be manifestation affirmations. So I am happy. I am healthy. I am radiant. And I am whole. I have all of the energy I need to achieve and stay in optimal health and overflowing abundance in my mind, my body, and my spirit. I am grounded in the reality that everything that I desire is already mine. And that's a major one, because let's pause for a second. I am grounded in the reality that everything that I desire is already mine. Everything that we want, everything that we think about, and that's why these affirmations are constructed the way that they are. Everything that we think about throughout the day is literally creating some aspect of our life in front of us, a tangible aspect. Everything that we look at, your phone, your bottle of water, I don't know, your desk, your bed, your whatever you might be sitting at, right? This ring light. Everything that we have in front of us started out as a thought first. And so it's so important for us to see and to realize and to stay in a vibration that our thoughts are literally creating things. In order for you to be a inventor, you have to first have the thought. You have to first be able to conceive the thought process in order for it to become a reality. So when we say I am grounded in the reality that everything that I desire is already mine, you are literally saying that I understand that my thoughts are things, are physical, tangible things, because they're going to manifest in whatever way that you think it into existence. That's how it's going to happen. So we have to be in that vibration that, because we are constantly thinking and we are evolving our thinking, we are also drawing to us what we are thinking is. So therefore we should be trying to elevate our thinking, raise up on an energetic level, and not stay down in what in Islam we call our nafs, or down in your lower desires. Raise your frequency, raise your thought process, raise your beliefs, raise your energy to a higher vibration so you can attract high and good to you. For those of you in my community who are dealing with trauma, who are trying to heal from trauma, there's a power that comes into speaking forth the type of people you want to be surrounded by. So as you're walking through your healing journey, and I have a sister that's coming on, Sonia, who is starting a whole community for mental health and wellness. And she just became an ambassador in a group. And I love her mission because she's like totally on this mental health thing, because we are oftentimes dealing with trauma and it's deep rooted. It's stuff that happened to us at childhood. I was talking to a very close friend of mine today and talking to her about the childhood trauma that we experience. Peace for whoever's coming in. Thank you for the thumbs up. I was talking to her about the childhood trauma that we experience and how that plays such a long lasting role in our lives. I can think back to a childhood memory, and I have been, very open with my past relationships. Y'all know that in the process of healing, you got to be open, you got to be vulnerable. And with my community, mostly on YouTube, but now that I'm here on Facebook, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I've been in abusive relationships. I've had abusive exes and ex-husbands. So for me, and not just verbally, but also physically. So for me, realizing, realizing like what that healing has to look like in order for us to be able to triumph over whatever we're going through is like huge. And realizing that you had that problem, you had that hurt, you had that thing that happened to you at childhood that constructed something in your mind to associate love or to associate friendship, to associate whatever it is in the form of abuse, that then puts you into that space where now you can accept that the people who love you abuse you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a unraveling cycle, and then you find yourself in your adult years, like myself, thinking I would have never aligned with a certain type of person, or I would never draw that into me, but not realizing that that childhood trauma and that shadow work still needed to be done, and it was still very real inside of me. And so because I didn't realize it, I was attracting that kind of energy to me, right? And so as we work through these healing connections and these talks and these manifestation that we're doing for 55 days, the reality is that we're literally asking for these aspects of our old self to be shed in order for the healing to happen. And know that healing is not easy. You're going to be triggered as hell. You are going to be triggered. You cannot heal without being triggered. So know that. Embrace yourself. Manifestation is not just all about like sunflowers and freaking rain gumdrops and like, no. It's going to be, it can be painful. It can be hurtful. It can be traumatizing and triggering and all these other different things like come to the surface of your emotions. If you are not ready, it can put you into a space that you don't want to be in. So that's why the second day of birthing our new aspect of ourselves that I'm doing for this birthing party, I asked two sisters to come on that are going to be speaking about heavier kind of energy. But it's because we can't have the good without having the parts of us that is going to have to make us deal with our shadow work and heal. Okay, so I know that was like a long rant to talk about the affirmation, but I just felt like it was really important for me to like stop and to pause on it, because on our daily sessions, I'm not sitting here explaining why I created these affirmations the way that I did and why these affirmations came to me in the healing process and why I'm using them on the 55 days of transformation. All right, so let's go into our next one. I vibrate in the energy of optimal health and abundant wealth. My womb is a powerhouse of manifestation. and all that I desire can easily be obtained. And then last but not least, one more. My thought patterns are completely aligned with my actions. Therefore, everything I think about, I bring into existence with the powerful manifestation power of my mind, my heart, and my womb. Now, this last one is also a very deep one because, like I was saying earlier, everything that we think about, we bring literally into existence, right? Everything starts out as something that we receive. So if you're a part of my YouTube community, then you've heard me talk about this. But for the sake of this real quick, if anybody is doing a replay, they will be able to understand if they are coming from a different community of mine. So it starts out at our crown chakra, and we receive what would be considered divine communication, right? Some people see it as their intuition, but it's divine communication. Everything starts out as an inspiration. And so that comes to our crown chakra. But after it comes to the crown chakra, we begin to be able to see it. So our imagination starts to work, right? We start to be like, oh, wow, yeah, I can see it. I can see it. You ever call your girlfriend up and be like, yo, I can see it. Oh my God, yes, that dress will be banging, girl. Yes. Put it with the such and such shoes. And It's with your mind. It's with your third eye because you're literally seeing it in your mind's eye, right? After that, you bring it down into your speech. And so you begin to talk about it. You begin to tell others about what this thing is that you are manifesting. But I always tell my community on YouTube, and I'm going to tell y'all here on every other I'm sorry, I'm getting all kinds of notifications. I always tell my community on YouTube, so I'm going to say it here as well. Be careful who you tell what you are manifesting during your manifestation work. Okay? Be careful who you tell during your manifestation work. I'm going to say it one more time. Be careful who you tell, because if you are not careful, you may actually open yourself up to the negative energy or impulses of other people who may not want that thing for you. You know, we have a lot of people around us a lot of times who try to insert what they feel like your life should look like. They try to insert what they feel like your, energy should be, or whatever. They insert themselves into what they see fit for you. So if you're not careful, you will draw that to yourself by telling any and everybody what you are trying to manifest. So protect when you are manifesting, when you are praying, when you are asking the Most High for something. Protect your energy, protect your womb, and understand that you are literally in a space where you are pregnant. Okay, this is a pregnancy. Manifestation, the energy of doing something is just like conceiving a child and carrying it. You got to protect your energy, your body, your mind, your aura, your surroundings, the people you let into your space. Protect your home from the enemy and from attacks. Okay, so after we now begin to speak about it, it gets into our heart chakra, and we can feel it. After we can see it and we imagine it, and we start talking about it, and now it starts getting into our heart, and we can feel it. We can feel what it feels like to be a millionaire. We can feel what it feels like not to have cysts or, endometriosis or, fibroids or postpartum depression, which is all the things that I'm helping these women to try to heal. Like, we can feel what that feels like. And that's a very important part of manifestation. If you don't connect it to the heart chakra, you will not be able to get your manifestations or your thought process or your prayers beyond where they are right now. Because every aspect of you has to be open to and feel the energy that's with it. And so after we go from our heart, and now goes into our solar plexus or the gut. And you ever hear people be like, oh, my gut told me such and such, or that don't feel right. I can feel it in my gut. Something ain't right. That's literally your solar plexus saying, you might want to check that. And so when we feel, it comes down to our solar plexus. Now, if you have a problem with self-esteem, if you have a problem with determination, if you have a problem with being able to accept criticism from others, if you have a problem with any of those things, you're going to get stuck in your solar plexus, because your solar plexus is all about willpower, determination, doing stuff regardless of whatever might come up, like keeping with what you want. That's where your baby will get stuck in this conception process, okay? Because remember that you are literally receiving something from the Most High when you get that divine inspiration for something. So now we're in our solar plexus. And so let's just say that our solar plexus are not blocked and we good on our determination. We move down into our womb space. And when we move into our womb space, now everything that we have been thinking, feeling, talking, we got past the gut hunches and all of those kind of things, and we got the full inspiration. It's now being carried in our womb space. And our womb space is where this energy, this baby, this energy is sitting, and we hold it and we carry it. And this is where the work is done. So now we start to take the action that it's going to require in order for what we want to manifest. So everything, like I said earlier, prayers without work are dead. So you must also put in action. You can sit and you can pray all day, but there has to be an action that takes place with it. And when that action begins, now we are working on our womb, okay, and the manifestation of it. And then after that, it's birthed. Now, I had a very deep and triggering realization not too long ago with my sister friend called Jimmy. And I was telling her, I said, sis, I realized something. I will get a project from inspiration to birth. I birth all the freaking time. If you know me and you ever worked with me in any kind of capacity, then you know that not only am I just thinking about it and run through all my chakras and bam, I birthed that baby. And I literally go through labor and contraction and the whole 9 yards leading up to this thing. That's how I'm able to talk about it literally being a birthing process, a baby, and how your womb is powerful, because I experience it all the time. But anyway, so going through these cycles, I realized, hold up, I'm literally birthing these babies, and I use the analogy of sitting them over in a car seat. So I will get the baby, I will bring it home from the hospital, I'm excited about it, but my baby goes and it sits in a car seat and they'll sit in the corner for however long. Until I realized recently, maybe like 2 months ago, I realized like, oh snap, I have all of these different aspects of things that I have birthed. I am a massive birther. Like when people attach to me, they birth what they want. It's a part of it. I don't know. It's just part of when you fertile, you fertilize everything around you, right? When you a bee and you spread and pollen, you are literally fertilizing every freaking flower that's around you. That's what happens when people connect to me. If they really plug themselves into me, I'm going to give you the energy and the push, and I'm even going to be there to help you catch that baby. Yeah, we did it. And you're going to take your baby and you're going to hold it. But I realized I had to have a real moment with myself, like, oh snap. A part of me is birthing these babies and I'm sitting them in the daggone car seat. I bring them home from the hospital and I sit them in the car seat. So I literally have like 50 babies that I done birthed. Literally 50 babies that I've birthed that are literally still sitting on the side waiting for me to do something with them. And I decided this year that I was no longer going to birth babies and sit them in the car seat. Your girl was going to go back and I was going to raise every single baby up to be an adult. And I was going to nurture that baby. And I was going to make sure that that baby got everything that it needed to be a healthy, living, breathing example of who its mother is, right? You don't want to, I don't want to create any kind of energy or name for myself of something that's like, oh, well, she started that, but she didn't finish it. And so, like, this is just being real vulnerable with y'all right now. Open candidness, and I know people gonna come back and watch this replay, and I don't care. Please do. I made a voice note the other day, and I am going to post it on my YouTube channel. And I was thanking all of my subscribers, all of my people who were literally there with me every step of the way as I was building the business that I'm building. And I'm going into this work, and I'm doing this mission, and I'm birthing these babies, and I'm helping my community. But y'all had patience with me, because nobody really knows what it's like to be a entrepreneur, to be a healer, to be a whatever you want to consider me, until they walk a mile in your shoes. And then everybody who had criticism no longer has criticism, because they all realize what you carrying in the midst of everything else that was happening in my life while I was also birthing this baby. So with that being said, I'm going to jump back into that conversation later on, but my sister Hashmi is here, so I'm going to bring her in. Hashmi, you ready? I'm going to add her. Peace, sis. Hashmi. Peace. You frozen. Can you hear me? Okay, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Is it a relay on your side? Okay. Well, I mean, Mercury's in retrograde, so I'm not surprised. You know what I'm saying? But I asked Hashmi to come into the community because she and I are working on something that's very major. I don't know if everybody is aware of the maternal mortality rate. And Marsha mentioned this yesterday. During our live, she mentioned how the maternal mortality rate is so high, and how it's really good that people are birthing at home, because we were talking about Bree's home birth yesterday. And so it's funny because Hashmi and I are combining in a work and in a campaign called Say Her Name, literally bringing honor and bringing awareness to the number of colored women. I'm going to just say women of color in the community who have lost their lives after giving birth at normally a early age. So these are people with no ailments prior to walking into the hospital. They walk out of the hospital, go home, and then in some cases they don't make it out of the hospital, but a lot of times they make it out of the hospital and then they drop at home, and now they have transitioned. And it's like, we got to bring awareness to this. So this is a work that she and I are getting ready to partner in. If you guys know me, then y'all know that I'm a doula, and I work with women to help them birth their babies, and that's like a major work to me, and it's very important. And so I asked my sister to come in with us. So please, Hashmi, introduce yourself. Welcome to the live.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Hashmi White. I live in Arkansas. First, I have 7 and 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
But my background is, yes, I have been a doula for quite some time. Started out at a very young age when my grandparents and the older women started to talk about midwives. And I was like at the age of 6 years of age when they all started talking. I started to get very well interested into babies, which I was already interested in the babies anyway. But it was just the idea to sit there and hear those older people discuss and talk about midwives, and listen at the stories about the midwives coming to the house and delivering, and they call on maybe Aunt Sarah, Aunt Sally, or whoever to come in and, and do the delivery. And because back then they actually didn't, they had doctors, but, being an African American community, well, should I say the Black community, there was not any, it was scarce on when it come down to medical. Basically, kind of like how it is now. Everyone think, oh, we have good medical. No, no. A little bit about myself when it comes down to being a doula, and what really made and sparked the attention with me when I lost my first child, and I could have been a hashtag as well. And it was devastating because going to the doctor back and forth, getting a pap smear every time. It's like I was going to the doctor maybe every 2 weeks, and I was getting a pap smear. Being at a young age, you don't know what's really going on until after the fact. And then when I in June, when I had went to the doctor for my uh, prenatal visit, I was on the table, and all of a sudden we heard the heart rate die out, and couldn't get the heart rate, the baby to come back. So I was like, they was like, well, you think you ought to do this? Like, no, because I was still feeling the baby move. It was constantly moving, and but they said it was trying to get itself out later on. Child died inside of me. He died on a Monday inside of me. I went that Tuesday, and that's when we found out that the baby was deceased. They couldn't find a heartbeat. And later on, from there, I kept feeling like it was expelling out, but I kept feeling it move. And so my step grandmother said, well, let's go to the hospital for a second opinion. So my mother and my grandmother, my stepdad, and my boyfriend, which now is my husband, soon to be 31 years this year. We all went to discuss and said that the
Hashmi, I'm
baby was
sorry,
born.
it's glitching. Hashmi,
Young mom, and yeah. Can you see me?
sorry. I could see you, but the last like sentence of what you said actually glitched out. So do you mind repeating that? I don't know why I keep losing it.
For some reason, we have an internet connection, I guess. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can hear
But
you.
we went for another. Okay, we went for another. Okay, we went for another opinion, and we got that was like I said, we all loaded up. My grandmother, my mother, my stepdad, and my boyfriend at the time, which is now my husband, soon to be 31 years this year. We all went for a second opinion, and we were out at that facility, and that's when they did another ultrasound, and the doctor came back in and stated the baby didn't have a brain. The baby was gone. So I was admitted into the hospital for my PCP on a Wednesday. Got to the hospital that Wednesday and got prepped, and they come in there bringing me papers stating that I needed to sign these papers. This is for the best. My mother kept saying this is for the best, for the best. I didn't know what was the best for us until I found out later on it's for the baby, for the hospital to take the baby and have it donated to science. So
Hmm.
you can imagine of not having no burial plot, no ashes, no anything pertaining to your baby. So that night I was lying there after then they started induction where they had to insert the pills up in my cervix to start my contractions. Well, from there they started an IV. They gave me a pill to stop my bowels from moving, and they also placed me in a with a catheter inside me, so I couldn't get up and go to the bathroom. So I'm strapped down. I would say.
Hmm.
So throughout the night, started getting close to about 10, 11 o'clock. I was like, I don't think I can lay here much longer because I was feeling the pain, but didn't know what was going on. I felt like I was going to die. Well, around about 12, 12:10, 12:13, I noticed I told my mother, I said, I got to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. Well, I still can remember that I was, had all this going on, IV and a catheter inside of me and a pill to stop my bowels from moving. So when I raised up about the first time, I didn't feel it. The second time, the baby just gushed out. And the doctor was not in the room. The nurse was not in the room. It was just me and my mom. So she had ran out the room saying it was emergency, emergency. And when they came back in, they, checked me, got the baby, and, took the baby back out. And I asked them to bring it back in, let my child back in later on. Well, after that, they moved me to another room. I was feeling fine until they moved me off the maternity ward because I felt like I was close to my child. So, in case some moms don't know, a lot of times, if you lose a baby, they will remove you from the maternity ward to a regular room. And they say basically for that because you are basically kind of grieving over the loss of your child. Yes, you're grieving over lost child, but don't move that mom from that room.
Right.
because that's the last attachment that she had to her child, is where she gave birth. It was in that room.
Mm-hmm.
You getting this mom up and moving her to another room, that doesn't make it any better.
Mm-hmm.
And when you leave the hospital, you leave in the hospital empty handed. Even though
Mm-hmm.
now some will, they'll put something in the mother's hand, or they'll do fingerprints or something, that the mom could take home with her.
Mm-hmm.
That really sparked most of my attention more to be a doula and to do more than what I want to do. For the past 15, 16, 17 years, I've
Mm-hmm.
been trying to become a midwife.
Mm-hmm.
Say that I'm in, when it comes down to my color, it wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
Just recently now, we're actually having some that's coming in, and I'm a part of that network. But at the time, no. And every time I would reach out to someone, it was like, no, no, because you need a preceptor. So that was one of my downfalls, where I didn't end up becoming
It's breaking up bad.
experience as when my cousin-in-law gave birth to her first child in Madison, and I just had my second oldest. So I got a chance to work next to a midwife, and even though we was in the hospital, it was a hospital birth. I still got a chance to work next to her, and the nurses, they just let us alone, let us do our thing, what we had to do to bring this baby into the world. So it was no interference, no anything, just hands on with us. And I was right at her feet. Her baby came out. So I mean, it's the most precious thing you ever want to see. And since then, I have been in the rooms with family, along with in-laws, Lord, my own daughters as well, giving birth. And guys, it is the most magnificent thing that you can ever see. But they also know they have that advocate that can speak to them if they ask me questions, because I can say, yes, let's go this route, or let's go
Yeah,
that
so let's dive into that a little bit. What a doula actually is for those who don't know, and why it's important to have one at birth and what it can make the difference. Because I don't think that a lot of people know that doulas can literally make the difference. It's scientifically scientifically discovered and proven that doulas
route.
can make the difference between a natural birth and a cesarean, an emergency cesarean. They can
Mhm.
also be the person who is advocating for you, specifically in those times where family and friends and whatever else may not be available to assist you during the birth of your baby. I know I have quite a few women, especially like in the red tent, who have reached out to me because they're like, Hadida, I want to give birth, but I don't have a mom or a sister or a cousin or even my child's father that can assist me during the birth. What happens? And that's perfectly okay. So doulas can be there as an addition and additional support to you and your family during that time of birth, but we can also be there for if it's just me and you and we breathing and we doing this thing the way it has to be done for the birth. But I just want to do you have anything that you might want to share before we jump back into your birth story, because your birth story for your first child was very touching, and I'll never forget when you talked to me about it, and thank you for sharing it with us in the community here. I'll never forget when you talked to me about it the first time, and how much it moved me, because like you, there are so many other women who are also experiencing the same kind of trauma. And I don't think that we bring enough attention to the the period of healing that has to take place after a mom either miscarries or has a stillbirth. We don't pay enough attention to that. It's not enough support out here in the community for that. And then in addition to that, and unfortunately, you just kind of like get packed into this group of women who are all grieving. And it's like, no, but it's so much more than that. Like, I carried this child, I nurtured this child. This child was a part of me, and I lost an aspect of myself. Like, don't just push me off and hurry me along and be like, oh, now you could just, go over here to this other floor. Like, no, how dare you? Like, give me a moment. You know what I mean? And that's the hurtful part about this system in Western medicine, is that they don't give you the space that you need. Even after giving birth to a baby, they try to real quick send you home and get you back to your own house so they can get in the next person. It's all about the money. It's very little focused on actually helping the mom, nurturing the mom, being there for the mom. And yesterday, Bria and I were doing a lot of talking about the power of birthing at home, or even birthing in a birthing center, so that the mom has the support that she needs, and the importance of that postpartum period. Because I would like to think that a lot of moms the maternal mortality rate is so high because so many women are birthing and being made to jump right back into natural life. Like, oh yeah, just get back to taking care of the rest of the kids, take care of the husband, go over here running up and down. They're not giving them. So that's 6 weeks of no sex and staying in the house and just you and your baby. That stuff is out there. People like, oh, that was back then. Like, my vagina feels normal, I could go back to freaking next week. You know what I mean? Like, there's no sanctity being left in the space of giving birth and giving your time, your body, and especially your mind the ability to heal after giving birth. You are literally crossing into a brand new threshold. And even if you are a mom already, every single baby is another walk over that threshold all over again. It's not like, oh, because you had a baby already, you once a mom, forever a mom for all your other kids. Like, no, some moms don't experience postpartum until they 10th child. Like, you know what I mean? So we got to really draw attention and awareness to the fact that every single child is a brand new experience. And if that child does not make it, for whatever reason, God forbid, to full gestation, that we also give support and give love and give nurturing to the mother who just lost her child as well. So, I just wanted to say that because I don't really think it's talked about enough. And I think that people don't really, they don't consider that part. And death doula, the job of a death doula is a real job. Like, it's a real, position. There's women who are literally paid to come and help you grieve the loss of their baby. Look it up. If any of my community is dealing with it on any of these platforms, look it up. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, Hashmi. Did you want to comment?
I pretty much consider myself as also a deaf doula because of what I went through.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
I'm gonna tell y'all like this. I can say this: my husband was my doula, and reason why I say that was because after I came home, he made sure I had something in hand. He had brought me some white carnations, and that flower stayed live for I don't know how long until my grandma said when the body starts to leave, then the flowers start to die. And no more
mm,
how she had that green thumb, that flower started to wither, and I knew then that my child was, was leaving. But
mm,
the thing about it is people do not understand. My child now would have been this year, he'd been turning 32 years of age.
mm-hmm,
And yes, I still did with postpartum
mm-hmm.
when it comes down to that. People don't
Because when
understand.
I came down there and we opened up your hub in Arkansas, it was that same week. Like, I came down there like the day before, or the day, I can't remember. I think it was the day before it happened.
Yep.
And I didn't even realize that it, like, everything universe had coincided at that same time for me to come down there when that happens. And it was still a very real, and you had, expressed it on our live. And I don't think it was ever posted on the channel, but I'll make sure that I post it, where you talked about, like, I don't think y'all realize this is a major weekend for me. And normally I would have been, going through this, and this, but this time I'm going through this. You know what I mean? So I was really happy to be able to be there for you, in
Yeah,
that space.
right.
And
And
we'll speak for you.
I was happy too that you was there at the time because you're gonna understand what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And people do not understand. A lot of times when the closer it gets,
Mm-hmm.
I either end up getting sick week or two before time,
Mm-hmm.
before his death. And then I start maybe having some kind of feelings of understanding what's going on, what's happening. And I have to look at the date and closer. I'm like, oh, it's that time.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't understand. Yes, I still grieve during that time for some because it hits me
Mm-hmm.
because I am just, it reminds me. Now all of my
Mm-hmm.
other children that I've had, they're alive, but they have had other miscarriages. So I tell everyone, I said, with me, I said, I think maybe God put me here for a reason because I've had a stillbirth. I've
Mm-hmm.
had a miscarriage. I had one that didn't have I had a sac but no egg. I've
Mm-hmm.
had another miscarriage. I mean, I think I've had all of the births. I didn't had a natural birth, a VBAC. I didn't had a cesarean. I didn't had them all, and so I'm able to. I know what a mom would go through. So
Mm-hmm.
I've lived it. So I
Mm-hmm.
cannot sit back and say, "Oh, I read this from a book." No, I lived it. I experienced
Yes.
it.
Yes.
I
And experience is the best teacher. Absolutely.
Yes, it always is. But
Mm-hmm.
people do not speak a lot of times on like you was talking about the moms leaving the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
When they leave, and yes, we're gonna go back over to the death doula. Yes, that mom still needs constellation. She's still gonna go through postpartum depression. But the thing about it is the difference between a mom that's got her baby in her arms is harder when you don't have a baby in your arms. So now you're grieving the loss of your child, plus you're grieving that you don't have this baby in your arms. You don't hear the cries, you don't see the fingers move, you don't see the toes move. You don't have anything there. And lots of times you don't have that blanket. And when I say that blanket, that can be that blanket from it doesn't necessarily have to be the blanket that the baby was in, but something that you can have to hold a lead from that hospital. And the hospitals a lot of times, and the nurses sometimes can be rude.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they can.
And
Even in
they
the
can be rude.
birthing, even in the birthing space, like when you coming home with your baby, it was really deep. I was watching TikTok last week, and this birth doula, this birth ward nurse was talking, and she was a white woman, and she was like, yes, I give I treat my patients differently, and then she went on to say, like, I give my black mamas more love and more attention. I make sure that when they walk through the door, they know good and well that if you say it hurts, I listen to you. If you say something don't feel right, I listen to you. If you say this, I listen to you. Yes, I give them special treatment because when I was going through my doula training, and you probably have heard this too as well when you were going through yours and your certification, they talk about how the medical field feels that black women have a higher pain tolerance than every other nationality. So they are less likely to offer you pain medications, and they are more likely to make you suffer for a longer period of time before they actually give you assistance and help. And even when you say something doesn't feel right, something is not right, they send you home.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
how that maternal mortality comes about, because they send you
Mhm.
home despite you saying you don't feel well or something is not right, or you know your body and blah, 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 blah. They're not hearing it, they're not listening, they aren't there. And so having that support, I can't say that enough. Going back to the doula, if you don't have a doula, having somebody that's your advocate is so freaking important. Like, I cannot stress that enough. And
You
that
gotta have someone there.
this work that we are doing of Say Her Name is unfortunately on the opposite side of, now that this mom has transitioned, bringing awareness to the amount of negligence in the medical field dealing with
Mhm.
black women and women of color, whatever your color is, bringing that awareness to it, because it's like nobody pays attention to it until it's too late, and then she gets listed in a freaking book for like 2 seconds, or a magazine cover, or a whatever, and then gets swept underneath the rug. And the only thing that happens is more and more people get added to it every day. And I would really personally like to see some proactiveness. So really, Hashmi and I are working on the Say Her Name aspect, but I can fully see that this is probably going to add into us doing some stuff for the beforehand, really pushing postpartum care and working towards that. Because if we have more of a support system that are taking care of these women around the United States, if we had at least one woman inside the red tent from every single state that was also a doula and a part of our organization, that we could say, hey, we got a mom in Little Rock, Arkansas. Okay, Hashmi, you and Warren, can you go to her? And we send Hashmi and we refer that mom to Hashmi for them to build a connection. Now we're helping as a community to lessen the maternal mortality rate as well. You know what I mean? And also being that support for them postpartum care so that they don't have to be back to being taking care of the whole entire household overnight. Like, oh yeah, just jump back into being a mom who's cooking, cleaning, doing everything. Like, no, you need the moment to rest. Your body just went through a major battle. You know what I mean? Giving birth is not an easy task.
Mm-hmm.
So giving yourself space to heal is so important. I have this book called The First 40 Days. Are you familiar with it, Hashmi?
No.
Okay, it's a book called The First 40 Days, and it was one of those books that was on my doula training. And this Asian descent woman created this book, and she talks about how in her culture, that first 40 days after birth, all your moms, your aunts, your cousins, your sisters, your everything is around you, taking care of your husband, taking care of the children who are already in the household. And if there are none, then the one that you just had, the baby you just had, and you. They are there to fully be all hands on deck. You know what I mean? And that's
That's what
something
the
that we,
older people talk about.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's
Not the
something we
book.
used to do back in the day. But for whatever reason, we have broken family structures and things like that. We don't have it anymore. And I feel like it's something that we really need to get back into doing.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's hard when mothers go to the hospital and they go alone.
oh
That's hard
yeah.
too,
Oh, absolutely.
and they don't have no type of support. And a lot of times, moms, their mothers has passed, their grandmothers have passed. They don't have any family member, and depends on where the significant others at. Could be at work, and they, sometimes the jobs won't even let that significant other off, to come to attend the birth of their child. So you have to look at those aspects too. Then the mom is left there all alone, and then if something happens and she becomes a hashtag say her name, then everybody is questioning now what went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
She went in fine, but what happened? The baby's here, but
Mm-hmm.
mom didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
But no one
And
has
they
any
be
answers. What happened?
healthy. They be in their 20s. They be in their early 30s, completely healthy, everything okay. Go home
Mm-hmm.
holding their baby, and then bam, they drop dead in their living room, or you know what I mean? Like, what? And then you say, well, where was her support? Who was checking on her? Nobody. Oh, well, that's part of the damn reason. Nobody checked on her. Nobody asked about her. And even if they did, they weren't conscious enough to see and to realize things that just didn't seem right. You know what I mean?
Well, most
Nobody.
people had a mentality that say, "Oh, she just had a baby. She just had a baby." That's the mentality. Like, she just had a baby. She just had a baby. Oh, there's nothing wrong with her. She just had a baby.
Mm-hmm,
It's no longer like that, because when they go back, they can tell the doctors what's going on with them while they're carrying the baby, and the
mm-hmm,
doctor will still
mm-hmm,
dismiss everything the
mm-hmm.
mother has said what was going on with her. And then when she come home after she done had the baby, then there's other issues, and she go back and she try to talk to the doctor. Then the doctor's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, yeah,
Doctor going
yeah,
on vacation, and there's
yeah.
no one else to go back to talk to. Like, okay, who I need to talk to now?
Right,
The mom is
right.
still getting blowed off.
So let me say this. So in the process of us wrapping this up, what are some things in your professional opinion and in your professional mother opinion, okay? Because Hashmi is another one of those crusader mothers that I freaking love in my community, and grandma at this point, because we just recently had a new baby added to the family, two babies actually added to the family. What is your professional opinion on how we can help to decrease the amount of maternal mortality around throughout the United States? Because it's really bad down south, extremely bad down south, but it's happening everywhere. So what are some ways in your opinion that we can help to decrease the rate of maternal mortality?
There's a lot of ways that can be decreased, but in our area here, based upon professionalism, there's not enough African American doctors,
Mm.
professionalism, and maternity.
Do you think that
Enough midwives.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Do you think that us getting some African American or, well, yeah, African American midwives would help to decrease that? So you answered that. You said, or midwives, right? I agree. I
Yes.
agree. So I think, if anybody is watching this replay and you're interested, like, let's just put it out there now, and you're interested in working with women um, who are going into labor, even if you are not a doula, text me. Text me at 267. Hold on. I'm going to put it down in the chat right now. Text 267 777 9664. Text me support, the word support, and I'm going to send you a message that's going to basically put you into a group of women that we are getting together inside of the red tent, and that will work with Hashmi and I as we work to decrease this maternal mortality rate that is throughout the United States and definitely down south. One more thing. So I think I had told you this before, but my trip back down to New Orleans right before my daddy died was me going to work down in New Orleans, and actually combined with, they have an all women's hospital down in New Orleans, and I wanted to in Baton Rouge, I wanted to work with those doctors and be a doula there to help to decrease the number, because inside of Louisiana and Mississippi, they have the highest maternal mortality rates throughout the entire country. But let's be real, Arkansas ain't that far off of it. You know what I mean? Like them southern countries are running neck and neck, baby. They trying to figure out how many people they can have across the board that are, unfortunately not making it. And so I when daddy transitioned, of course, I ended up having to come back up north, but it's still a very big passion of mine. And so now I am creating a group inside of the red tent through this, revamping process that we are going through. I'm creating a group inside of the red tent that's designated to helping women um, during their pregnancy, during labor, and then after, that is going to help them and assist them, to birth their baby naturally, or not naturally, but however it is, but to bring them in healthy and happy. And then after they birth the baby, to make sure they stay around to see that baby grow up. You know what I mean? Because I was just talking about, how I'm a big birther myself, and then my baby goes in the car seat, which whatever the project is, it goes into a car seat and it sits. But we want to make sure that the mom is supported throughout every phase of motherhood, before, during, and after giving birth. So thank you, Hashmi, for coming on. Anything else that you would like to add before I bring Sonia in?
Moms, all I can say, just if you don't have a support system, reach out. I'm a part of the Birthing Project USA. Um, Reach out to your local birthing project. See who's in your area. We also have to reduce infant mortality. You have your sister friend. It's free of charge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a resource to you guys as
Mm-hmm.
well. But just make sure when you go to the doctor, sit there and ask all the questions. If you think you forget about something, write it down on a piece of notepad. Take it to the doctor. Take it to your midwife, whoever that you have that is going to be the person that's going to be there with you for birth. If you have a doula, reach out to that doula. Speak with her.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you've lost the baby, reach out to a doula. Reach out to a support system. Reach out to someone. Remember, in all of this, through birth or through the end, you're not alone. There's someone
Yeah.
that's already went through it, based upon if they went through it through training or they went through experience. That's what I
Yes.
have.
Thank you, Hashmi, for coming on. I love you, my dear. I'm going to give you a call later on. Thank you for coming and sharing your story and for being a part of our community.
Good night, y'all.
Peace. All right. So I'm getting ready to bring my sister Sonia in. She is here in the space. Peace.
Hey, peace
How
and
are you?
blessings. I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. So I asked Sonia to come in because we just got connected not too long ago. She came for her services here, but we ended up talking about her work, and I was so inspired because she has um, a big interest in helping women with helping people in general with their mental health. And I think it's such a big aspect that is not really talked about. I think it's glossed over, and especially, being able to combine being a doula with mental health and, talking about that and bringing awareness to it. During before, during, and after the labor and delivery process. So do you want to introduce yourself, the name of your company, what you do? Tell us about
Sure.
yourself.
So, peace, everyone. My name is Sonia, aka Lotus Light. So, the name of my company is Lotus Light Expressions, and at Lotus Light Expressions, we focus on helping people build psychological fortitude. So, that's just like a fancy name for mental toughness. It's your ability to cope with life stressors, and that's just what we do. But we do it in a way that is like an alternative to traditional mental health counseling, because within our community, there's a lot of stigma surrounding mental health and mental health concerns and seeking help and things like that. So, what we do at Lotus Light Expressions, we provide alternatives, and we do that through poetry and spoken word, group sessions, and things like that. And recently, we're expanding. I'm a postpartum doula in training, and I'm learning more about womb health and healing the womb. Like women, we store a lot of our trauma, in our womb. So it goes hand in hand, mental health and healing the womb. So I'm expanding now, but my focus is on the mental health aspect of things. A lot of African American women and women of color in general really struggle with the postpartum period. And a lot of it is mental, it's psychological. So that's my whole thing. I just want to help people through that process and help them heal and help them develop that mental toughness to get through. So, yeah,
So if you're in the community and you want information about how to connect with Sonia or anything like that, or something that we talk about tonight triggers your interest, then text Lotus Light to 267-777-9664. And I'm going to put that here so that everybody will know. um, okay. I'm sorry. Lotus Light. So what piqued your interest, A, in being a postpartum doula, B, in founding Lotus Light?
okay.
Do you mind
So
sharing?
no, so okay, so postpartum doula. My whole pregnancy, so I have a son, he's 3, he'll be 4 this year. My whole pregnancy, it was rocky, it was rough, but especially that postpartum period. No one really understood what I was going through. Like I did have a lot of I was depressed. Like I was going through postpartum depression full on, and like my family didn't understand that. Everybody was like, "Oh, come bring the baby out and you need to walk around." I tore. I had a couple tears, so it was just really hard for me to get adjusted. I only wanted to breastfeed, and I struggled with that. So it was just it was miserable to say the least. I was like not happy. I had a hard time connecting with my son at first. And,
Mm.
I don't know how I came about a postpartum doula. Like I was just online researching, trying to just help myself. Cause I'm like, I have the tools. Like I've, been in the mental health field. I'm like, okay, this is what you're going through. Snap yourself out of it. So I started Googling and I came across a postpartum doula. Now this is after, and I'm just like, what is a postpartum doula? I've heard of a birth doula, and I found out what a postpartum doula does, that support to the mother after through that fourth trimester, those months after having a baby. And I was like, wow. And I was like, you know what? I can be that person for another woman so no other woman has to go through what I went through. So
Mm.
that's what led me to be a postpartum doula. Now, Lotus Light Expressions. So I studied at Howard University for a while, studied clinical mental health counseling before I got pregnant with my son. I had to take some time off. And I noticed, like, through our research and everything there about all the different, issues people have with connecting in our community, dealing with all that stigma. So I wanted to provide, an alternative to that. And I'm passionate about spoken word. And I realized, when I'm in those spoken word spaces, I'm doing poetry, that's healing. You know, you're
Mhm.
saying your words, you're doing your poem, and someone else at the end they'll come up to you like, I really needed to hear that. Thank you. This touched me, and it's just like this is a form of healing. It's like how can we do this on a larger scale? So that's where Lotus Light Expressions came from. It's about expressing yourself fully, your innermost self, and just bringing that to the forefront at all times. So that's where Lotus Light Expressions came from.
So I love it because this is like a prime example of how out of our own, I don't want to say trauma, but I'm going to use that word very
Mhm.
lightly, out of our own life experiences, we can birth something that's major. And so here in the red tent, like we're doing 55 days of transformation, manifesting optimal health and overflowing abundance. And this whole entire 55 days, I've literally been like, we're going to release what we no longer want to carry, and we're going to change that
Yeah.
into optimal health and overflowing wealth, right? But in that whole process, this is a prime example of how what you experience, like what I was talking about earlier, right before you and Hashmi came on, what you experience becomes an aspect of
Mhm.
your reality. And so now, when you're faced with whatever that reality is, we got to figure out a way to work through it. So, one
Mhm.
coping mechanism, of course, is to go and do drugs. Another coping mechanism is to go and drink. And a lot of people pick
Mhm.
those. But what
Yeah.
are other forms that are actually productive forms,
Yes.
which is like the spoken word, which is
Yeah.
actually helping people who are in your trauma, who are experiencing the same trauma or in your field of whatever your interests are, be
Mhm.
able to work through their process. Because something that happens, and I don't think a lot of people really realize this either, is as a healer, you're constantly being triggered and constantly having to heal.
All the time.
Like I was just telling them about, how I had to have a real conversation with myself. Like, okay, I'm a doula, I help women birth this. Okay, I'm a business coach, I help women do this, and blah 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 blah. But in reality, in all of that, like I had to have real vulnerable conversation with myself. Like, okay,
Mhm.
Hadida, how many babies of ideas and inspiration have you birthed at this point, and
Yeah.
how many of them are still sitting in your car seat? Like they have not gotten past toddler stage. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
How are we getting ready to grow them up? And
yeah.
so by like doing that work and shining the light in the mirror on myself, I'm able to realize aspects that I need to work on in order to be
Mhm.
able to help those other women. And so now, and a sister friend of mine, Kajimi, and I talk about this all the time. What we're triggered by is literally whatever you experience in life that's a traumatic situation is literally an indication of what your life purpose is probably
Mm.
going to have some work towards doing. So
Yeah.
if you are, say for example, I've been in like, abusive relationships, I've been through, trying to figure out how to get my hustle together before actually opening up a business. I've been through, my own womb ailments. Literally, out of all of that, birthed these different aspects of the red
Mhm.
tin and Yoni Love Herbals. So everything that you experience is normally leading up to like while you're becoming into your adult years, and even into your adult years, you're realizing
Mhm.
aspects of what your purpose is getting ready to be,
Yeah.
in order for you to be able to live a life that's like, oh, okay, I see why I had to go through that
Exactly.
situation, because I'm going to meet somebody on my path that I'm getting ready to help, get ready to have to help through whatever they're experiencing.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you birthed
Mhm.
the Lotus Life out of
Yes.
Lotus Light, I'm sorry, out of your own experiences, and
Definitely.
change that
Yeah.
into light.
Yeah.
Literally.
Honestly, that I like. I always tell people, you can't have light without darkness. That had to come from somewhere. Everything is a reflection of something else. It's just like,
Mhm.
and I like going back to what you said. I had to ask myself and say, like, oh my God, why me? It's okay. What can I learn from this? What is this experience teaching me? And
Mhm.
it's just like going from there. It's all about your mindset. That
Mhm.
goes into building that psychological fortitude. If
Mhm.
you can change your mindset,
Mhm.
then there your life would be. Like you literally have the power to manifest whatever you want. So if you can train your mind to do it, you can. Like anything you want can be yours.
Yes.
I was just at a yoga we were doing yoga on Saturday, and what did they say? They were saying worry is negative meditation. So if you're constantly in the
Mhm.
state of worry, you're manifesting that in. So when you want to manifest, you have to clear your mind. And I talk about that on my website. I have a book. It's an ebook. It's a collection of mantras and meditations for women. It's teaching you how to manifest in a positive way. You know what I'm saying? So all those things are important. It all goes into your mindset. If you want to change anything about your life, first thing you got to do is build that psychological fortitude and change your mind. You'll, I don't say be perfect, but you'll be perfect. Like
Yeah.
it's all where it lies. If you can shift your mindset, you'll be great. So
So during your walk, how often do you come into contact with people who are doing shadow work?
ooh, so
Because I had a really controversial conversation with my sister, same one got Jimmy,
mhm,
and we were sitting here talking, and I'm like, I actually honor my shadow self. Like,
mhm,
I know a lot of people are like, oh, get rid of that. You want to
mhm,
get rid of, yeah, that's one concept. But the other concept is to understand that everything is balance.
mhm,
So, in order for me, like you were saying, to get to a place of like light, you have to
mhm.
go through these dark or shadow aspects of
Yes,
yourself and then realize what triggers those things so you can now work on balancing those different aspects. So for me,
definitely.
for those of you who don't know, like your girl got a serious temper. So it's a trigger for me. Like if
Mhm,
I'm in a situation, the old Hadida would have naturally gotten into like physical altercation. The new Hadida burns sage and praise. Like, you
mhm.
know what I mean? But I have to honor the aspect of me
Yeah,
that had to work through that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
for
be
sure.
real with myself. Like, this is something I have to work through. And Hadida, you can't just go around like always, you know what I mean?
Mhm,
Tearing up stuff like the Hulk
yeah.
or Hulk up. You know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah,
get your life together. And so that's
yeah,
shadow work. So, how
yeah,
often do you come
definitely.
in contact?
So shadow work is important for everybody. And like, a lot of people do say, "Oh, I need to get rid of my shadow self." No, you don't. If you can't set boundaries without dipping into your shadow self because if that's where that it's darkness when you're telling someone no, don't. Those are negative things. So you have to dip in your shadow to do that. Your shadow protects you. So it's again
Mm-hmm.
mindset. It's not always a negative thing. Now, how often do I come into people that's doing it? I'm usually the one that's leading people to do it.
Okay.
So if somebody's coming to me and they're
Ooh.
asking me questions, I'm just like, okay, well, have you thought about this? Or did you think about it that way? Or how long have you sat with that? So I'll ask those
Ooh.
questions and they'll be like, okay. I'm like, and they'll process it too. But hey, I thought about what you said. I'm like, okay, you just did shadow work. That's the shadow work. So some people think shadow work is this big grand thing, and it can be because some people go deep and it can get scary.
Yeah, it can get
um,
scary.
but
It can.
just on a very minuscule level, shadow work is just sitting like, hey, here's an aspect of myself that I don't understand and I don't necessarily like it. How can I fix this? And where did this come from? So
Mm-hmm.
just digging deep in yourself. It's basically holding yourself accountable. That's what shadow work is. Reaching into yourself and figuring out how to better yourself in some way. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I don't very seldom do I actually come to people that's like, yeah, girl, I'm out here doing shadow work too. If I am, they're like my close friends in my circle. But if I'm not running into those people, I'm helping people get there.
Right. Got it. So
Yeah.
what are so okay, so I know that you talk about um spoken word and you
Mhm,
talk about the mental health aspect of it.
mhm,
Are there people in your day-to-day or that you come in contact with that are dealing with like of course depression and anxiety and things like that? What are some ways that you may gear them or steer, I should say steer them towards finding some ways to deal with that, to cope with it?
yeah.
Like what are some healthy, coping?
Like coping skills. So it would depend. So the first thing you need to do is find your triggers because there are things that can make you feel anxious. You might feel more anxious around certain people and certain places. So it's really important to be aware of your triggers and try to avoid or navigate those triggers the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
As far as dealing with depression and anxiety specifically, my favorite thing is mindfulness and meditation. Goes deep. Your breath is so important.
Breathing.
But
Yes.
when you take the time to breathe, you are putting oxygen in your brain, and that can kind of change those chemical reactions and things in there. So breathing is important. Being mindful, staying in the present moment as much as possible is important. A lot of times when we're anxious, we're either looking too far ahead to the future, and we get depressed. We're looking too far back into the past. So it's very important to be in the present moment, and just take life moment by moment. I think that is like the best coping skill. Like if you can control it, if it's something you can control in the moment, You don't have to be anxious about it because you can control it. Do it. If it's something you can't, you don't have to be anxious about it because you can't control it. It will work itself out. Life will always present solutions. So when you take the time to just breathe and be present, you allow those solutions to present themselves to you. So I think
I'm
that's
amazed.
the biggest thing.
I'm amazed because I literally, like, before you came on here, I literally was saying all of these things, and you're literally reiterating exactly what I was just saying. Like, right before you and Hashmi came on, and I was going through our 55 days of transformation, I was going through the aspect that we were covering today of the affirmations, and I literally just said these same things, and I'm just
Yeah.
sitting here like, whoa, this is
Yeah.
so deep,
Yeah.
like synchronicities. I'm always amazed.
Mhm. Yes, and
I'm
some
always
people
amazed.
don't believe. I know some people like breathing doesn't work. That's not going to help me. So there's other methods too. Journaling, I think, is so important. Like you get that the catharsis, that release. So journaling, talking to people. You want to avoid shutting down when you have those feelings like of depression or anxiety. Like trying to get out there, grounding yourself is so important. Go and sit in the grass. Literally, just go and sit in the grass and watch how your whole body shifts. Sometimes you just are out of alignment, you're out of whack, you just need to align yourself. So that's a good one. um Exercise. Exercise is important because increasing your heart rate, sometimes that works, especially with depression. You can't allow yourself to become stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
And again, challenging your negative thoughts. Again, it all goes back to your mindset too, and how you decide to think about stuff. So a lot of times, what I say is, if you feel yourself becoming overwhelmed with life, just start naming things you're grateful for. Like if you have that attitude of gratitude, that'll push you through too. Because it's just like, oh, this is hurting me. This thing has happened to me. Like, okay, let me stop. Let me
Mm-hmm.
refocus. Let me be present. Let me name the things I'm grateful for. And these are the things
Mm-hmm.
that give you the energy to keep moving forward. So those are a couple coping skills.
I love it. Yes. So you talked about your experience with postpartum.
Mhm,
You talked about your experience of how, your work that you're doing right now was birthed out of that experience.
mhm,
If there was something that you could suggest to a mom that is going through postpartum at this moment, what would it be? Would it be anything other than like the coping mechanisms you just gave us? Or, are there things, because I know for me, like, okay, I went through postpartum as well. But at the time, I was like newly married, had just had my daughter. Like my husband was traveling back and forth on the road. I was trying to support him in that. Like, it was just a lot going on, a lot with the family. It was a lot happening all at once.
mhm,
And I felt very overwhelmed. And I also dealt with the feeling of, how did this happen to me? Like, how did this kind of situation happen to me? So I think
mhm.
that a lot of times, like when we're dealing with postpartum, like you said, we're being stuck in a situation or in a time in the past, or we're like thinking about something actively, like, man,
Mhm,
before I was a mom, I had da 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 da,
mhm.
and now I have the, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like you, in some kind of way, you were downgraded because
yeah,
you became a mom. And so if we could like find a way to, like you said, stay present in that moment, we actually are able to work through whatever we're feeling. So are there
yeah.
any things that you would suggest? Because I know for me, like when I deal with postpartum clients and they're dealing with postpartum depression,
Yeah.
um and for those of you who don't know, postpartum depression does not look like, okay, I want to take my baby and throw it off of the balcony.
Mhm.
Like that's not, some
Not the
moms,
same.
I'm not laughing at that thing, but I'm saying like
Mhm.
that's not
It's
what
not always
postpartum
that.
depression, yeah, that's not
Mhm,
what it always looks like. So postpartum depression could simply be like, I don't want to get up and I don't want to do anything. I love
mhm,
my baby. I hold my baby. I care about
mhm.
my baby. I don't want my baby to go anywhere, but I'm just not okay.
Yeah.
And so what I always tell my moms is like, getting used to saying and being able to speak the reality is, I'm not okay. So like voice that. Because a lot of us have a hard time, first of all, ever being able to say I'm not okay. It wasn't until
Mhm,
my dad died that I actually became comfortable with saying I'm not okay. Normally,
mhm.
if a person comes to ask me, "Oh, Hadida, how can I help?" or like, "Do you need help with this?" or "Do you?" and I'm like, "No, I'm good,"
Yeah.
because I'm used to being the person who's usually taking care of someone else or taking care
Mhm,
of something. So I will be like, "Oh no, I'm okay." naturally, that's just
Yeah.
naturally my thing. But really, I'm not okay.
Hmm.
I'm not okay. And it wasn't until my father transitioned that I learned how to be okay with saying I'm
Yeah.
not okay. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that it was able to make me draw myself into the present to actually look and search for why it was that I did not feel whole within myself. So
Yeah.
are there any other um suggestions that you learn about like in your postpartum training or doula work? um
So I think the first thing I would say is it's very important to embrace your new self. When you become a mom, you are becoming a whole new person. Like your body changes in ways that you can't even imagine. It's a beautiful thing. The whole process is beautiful, but you have to understand that in a way that old person is gone. It's like you were a caterpillar, you became a butterfly. Well, it's not a negative thing. It's just that you can't do the caterpillar stuff anymore because you're a butterfly now, and that's okay. So it's embracing the new you, and finding out who this new person is, your strength, your weaknesses, your all the things that make you your new person. So and understand your body's never going to be the same. You're never going to be the same again, but that's not a negative thing. That could be a great thing. So that's the first step, just accepting where you are now.
mhm,
Um, and then going back to what you were just saying, being okay with not being okay. There's something I call it strong black woman syndrome, where it's just like we have to be super women. We have to be on top of everything all the time, or it's like if I don't do it, it won't get done. We
mhm,
have to move away from that mindset. We have
mhm,
to build our tribe. We
mhm,
have to build our support systems, and we have to lean on them. And I'm not talking flaky support systems like, oh, the auntie that might watch the baby sometimes, but other times, no. It might not always be a family member. You might have to go out and find a doula or a
mhm,
nanny or, a friend, someone that you can really depend on, because we are not meant to do this alone. If you go way back into times when we were in Africa, where we all originated from, there was always a village. So you
mhm,
need a village, not just for the child, but for yourself too, as a new mother. So it's important to have your village. It's important to allow yourself to not be okay and process that, and don't try to do everything. You don't have to
mhm,
do everything. And it
mhm,
doesn't make you any less of a woman if you can't handle it, or it's too much. It gets too much.
mhm,
You got a lot on your plate. It's okay to share it. So definitely finding your tribe, a solid support system that's going to be there for you, for the baby, um, admitting when you're not okay, and asking for help. It's okay to need help. We were not, if we didn't need help, we would be everybody be in our own little pods alone. No, we need our village. We need people. So definitely embrace your new self, ask for help, and build a strong village around yourself. So I think those would be like my top pieces of advice for new moms.
you said something where you said embrace your new self. I tell like the moms that I come in contact with a lot, like motherhood is a threshold. So you walk over that threshold. And
Hmm.
unless you have a support system, you don't have somebody who's able. So you're never going to return to the new aspect or the old aspect of you, but
Right.
you're going to be able to step back and be able to see yourself being a
Yeah,
mom and still being yourself. So like
exactly.
as women, another thing that we oftentimes do is we jump straight into this energy of like, oh, I'm a mom, and so that consumes me, and so we find ourselves being consumed in
Hmm.
motherhood only for like their whole entire life. And then when the
Yeah.
child up and leaves the house, now we have a problem not only being able to allow that child to spread their wings and be able to like get away from the nest and
Hmm.
figure out life and go through their own journeys, but we also have a hard time figuring out who we are as
Yeah.
women, as the woman. So especially those women who become moms at a young age, like in their, straight up like 20, 21 years when you are
Hmm.
normally supposed to be finding yourself. If you
Hmm.
became a mom during that time, you are confused as hell
Yeah.
as your child grows up and then they end up leaving the house. Like if you don't have that reality check during the process of you becoming a mom, like in preferably in the early stages, if not, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's fine. And
Yeah.
you're going to put your whole entire self into your child. You're going to
Hmm.
forget self care. You're going to forget your own mental health. You're going to forget all of those aspects. And then when the child is no longer there for whatever reason, you are now stuck at 30, 40, 50 years old
Yeah.
trying to find who you are.
Hmm.
And that's a hard thing to deal with if you aren't like mentally in that space
Yeah.
of understanding. So it's so important to have a support system for that as well, because
Mhm.
they help to bring you back. And I think that I'm going to start to do like a ceremony, kind of like a rites of passage thing inside
Mm.
the red tent, as a rites of passage for you crossing over to motherhood. But 3 days
Yes.
after, I'm going to create something for the women inside the red tent, that what it looks like, what the work that I do with the mom and her postpartum stages, that
Yeah.
allows her to now become back into herself. And so now you have yourself, and you have yourself as the mother. You
Yeah.
have both of those pillars. So you don't
Yeah.
lose your foundation completely when your child now leaves, and you feel like you're going to always be a mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so much of us as women is tied into us actively doing something for somebody else.
Mhm.
I had to ask my mom when my father transitioned. I had to ask my mom, so now that daddy left, who are you?
Mhm.
She had to be silent for a minute and think about it, and then came back to me.
Yeah.
Because when you are with, and that's like, even if it's not motherhood, is marriage. It's
Mhm.
some aspect. We're so used as women to pouring ourselves into that thing or that
Mhm.
person wholeheartedly, that when that thing or that person or that whatever is not around, we lose ourselves.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, in a community, our biggest lesson is non-attachment. And this
Yes.
is like a Sufi practice, but like, non-attachment, being able to be okay with being separated from every
Mhm.
aspect other than yourself and the divine.
Yes.
That's it. That's all you should be attached to. Because if not, you find yourselves constantly having to go through these prolonged series of grief
Yeah.
and trying to figure out how to manage life, because you are attached to something that
Mhm.
should have been not attached. You should not have been attached to, and so now you
Mhm.
lose your footing throughout life.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think about often,
Yeah.
and I really think would be a really big.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to share with us about your mental health work or your doula work or any aspect? Is there anything, or your company, your brand, anything else that you want to?
Mhm. I'm just here to help. I love people. I love working with people. I love helping people. My whole thing is I want to meet people where they are and help them get to where they need to be, whatever that looks like. So I'm just open for anything, even if it's just a chat, a question. So I'm always open and available for that. If you want to know more about what I do specifically, you can go to lotuslightexpressions.com.
Let
My
me tell you.
Instagram is Lotus Light Expressions, all one word. If you want to know more about me personally, you can find my personal page through there. But yeah, so I've slowed down for the winter. I very much like to move with nature. So in the winter, I was pretty quiet, but now that it's spring is coming, I'm going to be on there again. So do like motivational Mondays and things like that. Different topics, discussing things, just to like increase our mental fortitude and push our community forward in those ways that are not so overwhelming as talk therapy. And it's also, with this work, I do want to kind of get people more into talk therapy, like understand it's not a bad thing. The same thing I'm doing, like if you can trust me, you can find a therapist similar that's going to help you on a more one-to-one level. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of like bridging that gap. So just a little bridge to get you over to the other side. So yeah.
So for anyone who wants to get in touch with Hashmi or Sonia, following this the information for contacting them on social media and websites and things like that will be down in the description box below. So if you're watching on any of the platforms, you will be able to tune in there. Thank you, Sonia, for coming in.
No
I
problem.
appreciate you so
Of
much.
course.
I will be in touch, my dear.
Yes.
Have a blessed night.
You too. Bye, everybody.
All right, peace. All right, community. I thank you for being here. I did not get a chance to go into our calabash bowl to see who won for today. Also, we picked some cards, and I'm going to go over those as well. Child, I got a whole bunch of stuff on this desk. Like stuff everywhere, payments everywhere. Like working on 15 businesses at one time. For those of you who are interested in my community and learning about, the holistic wellness and shopping club that we are now offering and doing, please make sure that you reach out to me. Text the word shop to 267 777-9664, and I will send you the information on how you can get into this exclusive invite only shopping club. It is not something that everybody has access to. It's something that only people who are invited have access to, and you will only be able to learn about it if you contact me directly. So make sure that you text shop to 267-777-9664 to find out more about the shopping club. Now, the thing that I love about the shopping club, just to tell you a little bit about it, is that it's a way for us to build generational wealth. It's a way for us to take ourselves out of the situation we are in right now, whatever that current state is, and put us into a space where we have more cash flow and more abilities to invest in ourselves. What would life be like for you if you didn't have to go to a bank, if you did not have to go to some outside entity to tell you no, or go to your credit card or go to your bank account and pull money off because you already had things set up and investments set up for yourself that you were able to go to and use yourself as your own bank. You guys know that on Wednesdays and Fridays, I do Wealthy Wednesdays and Financial Freedom Fridays with my sister Kai Jimmy, and we talk about this every single week. What are ways that we can build financial freedom, wealth, generational wealth, not just wealth that stops with you, but wealth that stays way beyond your lifespan and that stays as something in your family that continues to pay for generations on to come. So Kai Jimmy just had a new addition to her family, so I'm not sure if she will be able to come in on Wednesday or Friday. But if not, do believe that the next week we're going to be back up on here and we're going to be kicking it, talking about wealth and generational wealth building. The other thing that I love about the shopping club is the products are 100% natural. No toxins, no chemicals that are killing you and your family and your children. Their cleaning products are so freaking natural that the FDA does not require them to have a twist top, one of those twist tops like you put on pills that you got to push down and turn. They don't have to have that on their chemicals that they release from their company. That's how natural they are. They're so natural that you can use them for your pets and you can use them for your children. You can use them for yourself. For myself personally, everything inside of the Yoni Semen shop, I have completely switched over to only being these particular products to sanitize my whole entire station. So I can have the comfort that the women that are coming into my space and that are trusting me to heal them and help them with their womb ailments and even, whatever their form of healing is that they need at that moment, even if it's not womb health, it might be mental, it might be emotional, whatever it is, they are in a space that is chemical free. It's so freaking important. I don't think we understand how much the stuff that we are using every single day is killing us. The chemicals that are in it, the carcinogens that are inside of these different things, and they hide inside of the stuff that we use every single day, is creating the ailments that we are experiencing. And it's causing a lot of the cancer, it's causing a lot of the fibroids, it's causing a lot of the endometriosis, it's causing a lot of hormonal overgrowth, it's causing all these different things inside of our bodies, it's causing the issues with our lungs that we don't it's causing the psoriasis. We don't realize it because the chemicals, we're being pounded by them. It's in our food, it's in our cleaning, it's in our the things that we use on our body, our self-care products. It's in everything. It's in the air, it's in our water. Like, they got chemicals in the freaking water. How many freaking spills that they recently have around the United States? We ain't gonna get into that. I'm gonna have to call a whole red tent meeting for that, child, because if I get on that, we're gonna be on here till 2:00 in the morning. But how many different places have they spilled chemicals into the water supply? Like, oops, my bad, I didn't mean it. That plane or that train or that whatever automobile just blew up and went into the water supply. My bad, we didn't mean it. Oh yeah, y'all just go back to drinking that water so y'all can all die next week. Like, I mean, come on, you know what I mean? Like, we are constantly in contact with chemicals, and so we got to try, especially when we're in a state of trying to heal ourselves, especially if you're dealing with fibroids and stuff, if you're dealing with endometriosis. These are all ailments that are created from hormone imbalances. And the things that cause hormonal imbalances are chemical reactions a lot of times inside of the body. When you start to study on a naturopathic level, you start to see that the chemicals that you are using and that you are exposed to create hormonal imbalances and abnormal growths. It's just like when people live next to a nuclear plant, right? And the next thing you know, they're freaking birthing a baby with 10, 10 fingers on each hand, or you hear like those freak kind of like births where the baby has two heads, or the babies are conjoined, Siamese twins and things like those. Things are very prominent around chemical plants, places where children are being conceived in a place where chemicals are being released all the time, and there are things that are creating abnormalities. So how do we not think that the abnormalities that we are experiencing inside of our body every single day is not directly in relation to something we are exposing ourselves to in our water, in our food, and on our skin? Our skin is our largest organ, and then our bodies are something like 85% water or something like that. So how do we think that the water we drink and the things we introduce to our skin are not extremely important? I don't understand. Anyway, I'm not going to harp on to that. Moving right along, let me pull a name. Said Yalla. Yeah, I know. Okay, anyway. So the person who won today is Shamik. I will text you, sis. Congratulations for win. I'm getting all these notifications. Congratulations for winning today's drawing. I will be in contact with you and get all of your information for me to be able to mail it out to you. What is my cat doing? She's doing something she ain't supposed to. Yesterday, in the beginning of the live, I pulled cards, and so I'm going to talk about their meanings, but I am going to put on some music really quick. I pulled cards to take the energy of these 2 days of birthing, and I gotta be honest with y'all. Y'all know y'all sister always got some stuff that's like, girl, here you go with some stuff. You always make up something. I honestly think that I am going to come on tomorrow, a third day, and talk about the actual rituals that we can do, because I promised myself that I was not going to be on here beyond 11 o'clock. I'm going to do this, but I want to talk about the rituals and close up everything tomorrow. For the we are in the new moon energy, but I'm going to give you guys manifestation rituals that you can use, and talk about aspects. So in the other day, what was that? Saturday, I think it was. Was it Saturday or was it Friday? I worked with my sister Kajimni on, and we were talking about the candles and the colors and using it for manifestation. And so I really want to dive back into that and do more of a conversation about that, but also talk about using metals, natural metals like silver, gold, copper, to actually be able to heal the body. And I'm going to jump into that tomorrow, because I've been doing a lot of research about it, because we just recently got into got aligned with some information from a brother who is dealing with the natural metals and talking about them as an investment piece. But I want to talk about them in a healing aspect. So I want to dive into that. I want to talk about color vibration, and I want to talk about rituals tomorrow. So if you are watching this currently or watching a replay, come back and make sure you jump in with us tomorrow for us to be able to do the ritual. Also, if you were a part of the manifestation, or you coming back and watching this, we did our manifestation earlier in the live today, and the word for today, the key word for today is sage. So text sage, like what you use to burn, sage, to 267-777-9664, and you will be entered into the drawing for you to be able to win. Please stop it. For you to be able to win a prize and be enter into the drawing for the next couple of days. So the first card that we had picked up, I said I was going to put on music. So the first card that I picked up is Healing. Came out of my Color Vibrations deck. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's silver. And the first card is Healing. And it's so funny because that's all we've been freaking talking about was for 2 days is healing, and how to heal after trauma, and in order to be able to manifest how we need to use that. But the card that came up with it is It's Not Personal. and Seven of Hearts. And so the Seven of Hearts, Seven of Hearts is the Seven of Cups. It's the energy of being able to, sorry, y'all, being able to see a lot of different options and knowing which options to pick from. Now, in talking about healing, for me, it also can represent, and some people like see it as a negative thing, having a whole bunch of different options. So, like, depending on who you go to or what reading you might listen to, they might say, yeah, well, this is the same. So I just saved the cards from yesterday. I never got a chance to actually go over them. And I was like, I ain't gonna keep y'all here past 12. It was like 11:30 at that point. I was like, I ain't gonna keep y'all here. So I'm going over those cards that I picked yesterday, but tomorrow, going into the energy, we will actually pick new cards. So with the card healing and us talking about what we need to heal, and then the card it's not personal coming out, I really feel like a lot of our healing work a lot of times goes back into us being able to tell the person, like, listen, it's not personal that I gotta say this to you, but I just need to clear my chest. I think sometimes we have a hard time connecting our throat chakra to our healing. I know for me, for a long time, I dealt with it, which is when, like, I started going through the thyroid issues and all those different, like, the metabolism was thrown up. I had a problem activating my throat chakra for whatever reason. And through that process of being able to activate it, now you can't shut me up. And now I'm going to speak my mind, because I don't want those things that I'm having a hard time learning how to work through being something that's hindering me from, ultimately growing. So in your process of healing, know that, oh, I just heard something else. Know that what's happening is not happening to you, it's happening for you, right? So in the process of it happening for you and not to you, that also allows me to step back and see it from a bunch of different angles. And I think that's where that Seven of Cups energy comes from. I can look at this thing and I can see different ways that I can handle this. I could go the fuck off. Oh, excuse me. I dropped the F-bomb. I can go the heck off. I can, meditate my way through it. Like earlier in my live, I was saying I have a hard, like, my temper is something I really had to work on. I had to work on being able to not resort straight to physical altercation. Like, that's a problem for me. That's a weakness of mine. So for real, in the process of healing, I'm going to be triggered all the time on things that would make me want to just go the hell off. You know what I'm saying? And knock somebody upside the head. I want to be triggered, because we can't say that we're healing. We can't say we're working through things if we aren't actually doing the work. Actually, don't think about it. If we aren't actually doing the work, okay? So that's what the healing, it's not personal, and Seven of Hearts feels like to me. The second card that we got was Warmth. Can y'all see that? It's like a goldish color. It's warmth. And when you heal, when you're doing healing work, and we're talking about manifestation, we're talking about healing, we're talking about being in optimal health, you gotta find a warm, cozy place. Because like I was saying earlier in this live, healing is not something that is easy. Healing is not something that always looks like sunflowers and sunny days and roses and candy. Healing, sometimes you got to get down into the nitty gritty work in order for you to really heal. And so you're going to be triggered. You're going to have things arise to the surface that you would have never thought was going to have to arise in order for you to work through it. We cannot stay in that space of like, levitating and things like that throughout the whole healing process. We're going to be triggered sometime. So find yourself, before you get into the healing process, find yourself a cozy place. Find yourself a support system. Find yourself a sister friend or a brother that you can talk to, that's going to allow you to help you work through those things and shine a light in a mirror on aspects of you or the work that needs to be done that can actually help you to heal. You know what I'm saying? And do it out of love, because another part of healing is being able to take corrective criticism. So when I see this card warmth, I think of that. I think of that energy of healing being something that can sometimes not be that easy to flow. And so we got to get in alignment. And then in addition to that, it's like fake it till you make it. Now, one of the major things about manifestation is having your mindset at the destination before you get there. Your imagination is so freaking important, so freaking important when you are doing manifestation, because you have to visualize. And earlier we were talking about how the inspiration works its way through all of the chakras and becomes something that you actually birth. And I was telling you how I talk to my sister Kajimi all the time about how I birth all these different aspects of myself, and I sit in a car seat over in the corner. And when I had that real conversation with myself, I had to realize, like, oh damn, Hadida, you birthing these babies like every other day. You literally having contractions, labor pains, the whole 9 yards. And then after you get this baby, you bring it home from the hospital, you sit over in the car seat of possibility over on the side. And it's like, wait a minute, I gotta change that. I gotta like do the work that makes that inspiration that I receive, say to Yala, make that inspiration that I receive go to full adulthood and nurture that inspiration that I was given to be something full. You know what I'm saying? So fake it till you make it, and manifestation is so important. And it's the number 9 because it's 45. 9 is about completion. 9 is about bringing things to an ending so that you can start a new cycle again. So knowing that we have to see ourselves already there before we actually get there should help us to be able to stay in the present. And manifestation is really, really, really important. We're in the present moment, and that present moment, please, y'all, that present moment is going to be what or staying in that present moment is going to be what allows us to actually be able to activate the other aspects of our manifestation. Woo, child. All right. And so the deck card that we got was 7 of Swords, and 7 of Swords energy is all about strategy. Some people see it as a conniving energy, but in this time, I feel like it's strategy. 7 of Swords energy is about being able to visualize not just where you're going, but how to get there. Visionary aspects of ourselves is inside of all of us. You know, you have that creator aspect in you. If you've been in any of the like business training with me or anything like that, then you will know that I talk often about being able to know which personality type you are. Are you a starter? Are you a bridge? Are you a planter, or are you a waterer? And based upon your personality type of what you are, will tell you the people that you need to also put inside your community that's going to allow you to take whatever it is that you're doing to the next level. So, for example, I'm a starter, but I also have planter aspects of myself. But I cannot be in the same space in the same time. So if I'm birthing something, I am fully in my starter phase. And if I'm in my get out here and get it hustle and my divine masculine energy, I am fully in my planter phase. So knowing that manifestation is about what strategy, what way are we going to utilize the skills that we have to be able to manifest what we want. And in addition to that, surrounding ourselves with the community and with the clan and the tribe that's going to allow us to take what we want from this process of being a small shrimp-looking fetus inside the womb to being a fully gestational baby that we birth, and that's now a reality for something that we can carry forth. And then the last card that we got was value. Value. And I feel like this is really about like, how do you value you? Where do you see you at? Because a lot of the stuff that we got to heal is stuff that happened to us. And if we're not careful, we'll see it as it happening to us, not happening for us, like I was saying before. So where do you value yourself? How do you see yourself? And if you're triggered, what is the relationship of what like you're experiencing every single day into like a relationship of like where your thought process is. What do you think about yourself? Is that what you're drawing to you? I was in a trainer earlier with a group of ladies and we were talking and I was saying like, the people that you attract in your tribe is literally the people that is aligning with your mindset. Okay. So if you are thinking on a, just getting by and not nothing for nothing for against nobody who is getting assistance because your girl was at one time getting assistance. But if you are aligning yourself with a bunch of people who are like all relying upon the government in some way or form to be able to provide for them their needs, how do you think that you're going to advance past that energy in that space in your day-to-day life? You have to align yourself with people who are not at your level but are above your level. So now you are constantly working towards something. But if everybody is here, we all going to help each other to stay here. What's the need for you to be able to rise up beyond where you are right now? If you are aligned in combining yourself in groups and places and things that is at this level where you are and never willing to get outside of your comfort zone. So for me, I was telling y'all in the beginning of this 55 days of transformation, and even more so right now, and especially with the shopping club I'm in, your girl is surrounding herself with millionaires. Your girl is surrounding herself with people who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why? Because that's where I aspire to be. I don't aspire to be, excuse my French, no broke bitch. You see what I'm saying? So I don't want to align myself with a whole bunch of broke behind people. I don't. I want to align myself with people who are working towards achieving goals and who only have wealthy and healthy mindsets. I'm not about to align myself with nothing less than that. So for those of you in a community who are like, man, I'm struggling with let's go back to where do you see yourself? What is your value? How much do you see yourself being valued? What do you see yourself valued at? What is your calculation of your self-worth? I tell Rakaya all the time, if you're not familiar in the Muslim community, we have a dowry. So when you marry a husband, that man has to pay a dowry price for you, right? And so I tell her all the time, baby, your price is like 500,000, 500 million. I come up with these really crazy amounts because, I say crazy amounts because people be like, oh, child, 500,000 for you? Hell yeah, that's your price. So now the worth, the tag, the price tag. Do you treat your Louis Vuitton pocketbook the same way that you treat your Walmart beach bag? No. You put that Louis Vuitton pocketbook, you take it in, you put it inside the wrapping, you put it inside the box, you put that box up on the shelf real high up so the kids can't get it with their ketchup fingers, like all of that kind of stuff. So do you surround yourself with ketchup level people? Or do you align yourself with Louis Vuitton level people? You know what I'm saying? Even if you're not a materialistic person, who do you align yourself with? And how do you perceive your worth? Because that who you align yourself with says a lot about what you see yourself as. Four of Wands energy is all about building. The Four of Wands, like in a traditional deck, actually has like four strokes, and they talk about it either being like representation of marriage or like long-term contracts, like long-term things coming. And so it's kind of like you getting ready to walk into major money, wealth, transformation. You're doing 55 days of transformation and manifestation if you've been joining in with us. Do you really think that you're not getting ready to have to get yourself together, get your foundation together? Not to mention, it is a four. And fours is the energy of foundation. Every square has four corners. Every building is built off of four corners of something. And so on top of four, you can create another layer, which becomes another sturdy foundation for the next floor to be built, and the next floor to be built, and the next floor to be built. But you're not going to be able to build any floors on top of anything with 1, 2, or 3 legs. So get yourself a foundation and take the action. Four of Swords is about the action and entering into contracts, connections, actions that are going to yield for you what you want, and that represents and reflects the value that you see yourself being worth. But also, in the midst of that, don't forget to let your hair down sometimes and play. It is the number 2 because it's an 11. So 11 goes down to 2. But 11 is about, first of all, 11 is a master number, but 2 is about the energy of I made a decision. I have to make a decision. I'm in a space of having to make a decision. 2 is duality. So I either have this or I have that. Or I could choose to go this way, or I could choose to go that way. So when you go from a number 2 to a number 3, you have made a decision and now you are taking action. That's what we are doing. We are in the state of building, right? We're in the state of birthing what we want. That means that that manifestation that we're doing, that work that we're doing, the things that we are working towards are still very much in their infancy stage because we are not done our manifestation yet. But they may have started to show themselves in your life in different aspects. If that is the case, then you have to know that during this time while you are building, don't forget to take time for self. Like I was talking about earlier with Sonia, during the time that we are building our reality of being a mom and we're being a caretaker and we're building this life up as blah, 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 the kids go here, the husband goes here, or the mate goes there, or the whatever, blah, 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 like come back to self and remember self-care. So that energy of play means take a load off. Come in, drop your bags for a second. Sit down on the couch, kick your feet up. You know what I'm saying? Do something that allows you to pour back into you because you're working so freaking hard to build and to realize this new aspect of yourself. I love you, community. Thank you for joining in on the second day of manifestation and birthing. I am going to do a day 3. And the day 3 is going to be nothing but rituals. I'm not going to bring on any community. I'm just going to do rituals and we're going to talk colors and we're going to talk manifestation. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. Thank you for showing up for yourself because that's what this is about. This is me just coming with you and holding your hand as we all show up for ourselves. This is accountability. That's what this is. Showing up every single day to come on a live, to do these videos. It's accountability. And I can't expect anybody in my community to do something just by me saying, oh yeah, do 55 days of transformation if I don't show up myself in what I say I believe in. And I thank you for joining me here, for believing in yourself, believing in what the Red 10 is doing. That's why you're here. That's why you tuned in. Whether you was here in the beginning, whether you're here now, whether you're here later on and you watching a replay, thank you. I love you. I will see you tomorrow, probably around 11:11, because I don't think it's going to be a day that I slept in. Speaking of self-care, really quickly before I hop off, today your girl ain't do nothing but sleep. And I needed that because for so long, like I just been running, especially with like the Ramadan being here and like being up late at night, waking up early in the morning, doing the prayers, running 3 businesses, like it's just been like marching, right? And so I had the moment, and this is just like realization for anyone who might be going through this and who is also an entrepreneur. I had the moment where I had to think yesterday, and I was like, Hadida, it's okay to be human. Like you're a human. Be okay with that. And today I was fighting myself. I was like, get up. You should be doing this. You should be messaging them. You should be sending that out. You should be taking care of this. You should be building that. Like you got this baby over there in a car seat that you still left in a car seat. Like go pick it up, nurture it, do something with it. And I'm just like, you know what? All of that, get out. Like I just need a moment. And I freaking slept. And I slept until I felt like waking up. And it was the most needed rest in my life. I got a couple of calls that distracted the sleep, but I quickly ended those calls and went back to sleep. So if you're an entrepreneur out there, don't forget to love on you in whatever way you need it. Self-care is really important. Remembering to play is really important. And remembering to just do nothing but sleep and just catch up on your sleep is so important. With that being said, I'm hopping off. I love each and every one of you. Hope you have a blessed night or day wherever you may be around the community watching this. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your support. Thank you for showing up. Peace. Until next time.